11 through 21 and 24 through 29 vote at Crossview Church, which is located at 1000 East Riverview Expressway, Suite 120. To locate your ward, contact the clerk's office at 715-421-8200 or visit www.myvote.wi.gov and click the Find My Polling Places tab.
Welcome to the League of Women Voters Forum this evening. I'm Sue Mitchell, a member of the League of Women Voters of the Wisconsin Rapids area, and welcome to those of us in the audience and to our three candidates this evening. We are going to hear from the candidates for the Nekoosa School Board, who will be on the April 3rd ballot. The League of Women Voters is a nonpartisan organization that strongly supports an informed electorate, but it does not support a specific political party nor specific candidates. So the questions for the candidates can be written on index cards that those of you who are in the viewing audience are welcome to get. Those of you who are watching are welcome to call the number which should be at the bottom of your screen, and that is 715-423-0441. Someone will answer that phone and take your questions, so please feel free to bring your questions to us. Let's meet our three candidates tonight. The first one on my left is Cody Przybylski. So welcome, Cody. In the middle is David Schmidt. Welcome, Mr. Schmidt. And Robert Shear on my right, far right. So welcome to all three of you. You will have 2 minutes for an opening statement, and then we will do a whole series of questions, which you will each have 2 minutes to answer. And we have timers here who will let you know how much time you have left to talk. And then you will be free to do your 2-minute closing statement. So let us begin. And actually beginning this evening is Mr. Scheer. He was the lucky one who got an X on his piece of paper. So he is the one who will begin with his opening statement. Then we will come back to Mr. Przybylski and then Mr. Schmidt. So Mr. Scheer.
Thank you, Sue. And I thank the League of Women Voters. In 2 minutes, I got to explain that I was off the board, I was happy, and now I'm coming back. And my reason for coming back is a lot of things. When I heard of a of a coach complaining about girls soccer and boys soccer being a co-ed and the abilities of both athletes not working together to have a good season, as a former coach, that upset me. I've worked with boys, I've worked with girls. That was uncalled for. You're supposed to be adapting and be ready for it. I also had a lot of communications from others about what's going on in the schools, the bullying, and other issues inside the school that are not quite right. So I decided to ask, is anybody doing statistics inside the school district to find out how many times a teacher is hit by a student? I was not shocked. The answer is no, they don't track that. If you're in some professions, they do track whether the student or the patient in a nursing home strikes an employee, but not the school district. In the state of Wisconsin, they're going to get me an answer and figure out if they really have to. And the other part that made me concerned is when they switched to a policy governance model of managing a school district. Well, that's not that good, because you've got the board that cannot talk to. I got 30 seconds? You got a board that cannot talk to the staff, and the staff that cannot talk to the board, or both people will end up in problems, where the employee could be disciplined, and most likely would be, and then the board member for talking to, on his own, talking to a staff member to find out what's going on inside the school, is the policies working, you're not going to get an answer, or you'll be censored by the board. That's why I'm running.
Thank you. And now, Mr. Przybylski.
Thank you guys for having me. I was born and raised in Nekoosa, and I'm a 2010 graduate from the high school. I graduated in 2015 from UW-Whitewater with a bachelor's degree in public health. Then I went off to Missouri to receive my master's in nutrition in 2016. After receiving my master's, I decided to come back to the community of Nekoosa in order to give back. With that, I coached, substitute taught, and was employed through the district as a health director. Many of you may ask why someone so young would be running for school board. Well, it's because I want to give back and to be a role model to the district, students, and community. I grew up in Nekoosa with a very low-income household with many hardships beyond my control. I had a very uncertain future, just like many students in our district currently. I want to show our community and students that even though times are hard, it does not always have to be that way. If they work hard at their academics, athletics, or any other school activity that drives them, they will go far just like I did. I want to be able to help make the district of Nekoosa the place where students know if they work hard, they can achieve many great things, no matter their current situation. I'm very passionate about my community, district, and helping others, which is why I'm running for school board. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Schmidt?
Well, thank you, Sue, for having me to the forum here, and thank the League of Women Voters for inviting us all here. I want to run for the school, rerun for school board, because I'm a long-term resident of the area. I've lived here all my life. I went to school in Nekoosa, graduated from Nekoosa. It wasn't Nekoosa High School then, it was Alexander High School. All of my 8 children have gone to Nekoosa Public Schools at one time or another, and many of my 23 grandchildren are also enrolled in the Nekoosa School District. So I'm vested in this school. I care about what happens in a school. Each year, each time that I've run for election or re-election, I've said that my reason for running was for the kids. I want to try to do what I can do to help the children, to help my grandchildren have a better education. And in the process of getting my grandchildren a better education, I give the rest of the students in the school district the best education that they can get. That's my biggest reason for running as a school, for the school board. We've been working on a number of different things over the time that I've been on the school board. One of the things that I'm really proud of having accomplished is our STEM Academy, which is our Central Wisconsin STEM Academy is what it's called. We found that a lot of the students that attend school, whether it be here in Nekoosa or any place else in the state, don't always get it with the sit and get method the way we were taught when we were kids. Many of you listening probably were taught the same way, where you sit in a chair and the teacher gets up in front and lectures or teaches you what she knows, and you're supposed to get that information, and then you take a test to show that you've understood it. Many students don't understand that way. They don't learn that way. A lot of students learn by hands-on. One of my sons, every time he would get a present, whatever it would be, would take it apart and see if he could put it back together, because he learned by hands-on. And we were able to develop the STEM Academy so that kids could learn the hands-on method of learning. Thank you.
Okay, thank you all for your opening statements. And we will begin now with the questions. And Mr. Przybylski, you will be number one this time. And the first question is, how has Act 10 impacted your ability to find qualified teachers?
I think Act 10 is something that helps out the district, find, what exactly we're looking for. Right now with the school district, there's a lack of communication that is between, the teachers, the students. I think that Act is what allows us to find, the teachers that we want to hire within the district. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Schmidt?
Would you read the question once more?
Certainly, and feel free
Sure.
anytime, to ask, to request to have it reread. How has Act 10 impacted your ability, meaning the school board's ability, to find qualified teachers?
Many of the teachers that we have now are new teachers to our district. We have been able to hire staff that learned a different method of teaching because they're younger. They have learned some new methods. We have had numerous applications for many of our school positions. It's been a very good thing for us. It also helped with the finances for our school district because we're no longer subject to the unions telling us what we have to do. We have been able to run the district much more efficiently. We've worked with the staff to develop a financial package that is beneficial for everyone, and it helps the school district meet the budget and gives the staff actual pay in their pockets instead of spending all of their pay raises on their insurance benefits and such. So yeah, it's been a very good thing for us. Act 10 has been very helpful.
Okay, Mr. Scheer.
Well, as a state employee and a union member, Act 10 was atrocious. Right away, Act 10 went after the wages in the union of the workers. They used the money they saved to build the surplus of cash that they can use for anything they want at the state level. Now, for school districts, they have to enact the Act 10. They had to enact the union bargaining or destruction of the unions. And teachers, for the most part, who were in the union were not happy with it. They did lose benefit of the union, and any money they saved by not having to pay union dues was sucked up by other expenses because of Act 10. Act 10 did nobody a favor except the state of Wisconsin and creating that surplus. It did not do school districts that great of a choice because it's harder to get a pay raise that meant something, and you could go to another school and then you would have better pay because they had a different pay scale than the school you were in. So teachers would jump from school to school to find out which one had better pay. And if your school is in the part where they don't have that great of benefit package or that great of pay scale, you're going to have a hard time finding teachers because the word gets out. If you want a good pay, good benefits, and you want a school board that listens, go to these schools and you'll be fine. If you want to start out, stay there for a year or two, then get out, that's fine too, because then you get your benefit of experience. So you can shop your experience out to get the better pay, and possibly the union is still alive in that school district, so you get representation when things don't go right. If you don't have union representation and you get called on the carpet for what the school district says is wrong, you will lose unless you hire an attorney. Then all of a sudden your attorney costs will chew into whatever benefit you got and your pay. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And now we'll move on to the next question, and Mr. Schmidt, you will begin for this one. And this question is, what is your opinion about school vouchers and how are they impacting Nekoosa's school budget?
The voucher program hasn't impacted Nekoosa at the present time, but the voucher program as it's set up is taking away money from the school systems because it's money that comes right off the top of the budget from the state. And while it is set up to help parochial schools and other private schools to be able to afford to have students come in from other school districts instead of going to the public schools, it just really detracts from what we're trying to do here at the public school.
Okay, Mr. Scheer.
For the most part, David's right. The voucher program, when a student or a family takes their child to another school, allocated funds that would have gone to the school districts for that child's education would be redirected. That's the way vouchers work. And when it's redirected, that's an immediate loss to the school district. So as more students move out into a voucher school system, more money leaves the school district and goes into the voucher school. Now, there will be a point where the voucher school has to be held accountable for what they're being taught in the voucher school to see if it meets a standard. And I haven't heard of that being done yet. And voucher schools also can reject taking special ed students because they don't have the ability to teach special ed, because they have no special ed curriculum. They do not have a special ed teacher. Thus, they don't have to take a special ed student who would want to enroll into a voucher school. And then the other part of the voucher school, and they saw this down at Milwaukee, is what are the outputs? Academically, what are the outputs of the voucher school when you compare it to a public school? Because public schools have standards that they have to meet, where voucher schools don't have standards. They just bring their student in, teach them, and then the child moves through the system with very little accountability. And that's one of the drawbacks of a voucher school system. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Przybylski.
I haven't really seen the stats on, voucher school systems from between public, private, in and out. But I'll have to agree with the two candidates here that it hasn't really impacted our school district as that I know of yet. But I do know that we need to make sure that we have the dollars, grants, and resources to help our students and school districts succeed in the future. So, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, we are ready for our next question, and we will begin with Mr. Scheer.
Just call me Bob.
Bob. Okay, we'll begin with Bob. Bob Scheer. The question is, what are your views on such things as school discipline and open campus?
I was talking to my wife about that the other day, and we had quite a good discussion. I don't know if I won or lost. The discipline issue, there has to be clearly defined behaviors that will work in a school. You have to clearly state it, and you have to back it up with actions, and you can't shy away from it. I've been in education. I was in education for 12 years. I was in many schools because I was a contracted support person. I would go into a school, hang out there for a year, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years. And the thing they had is they had it clearly defined. And the successful schools with lower discipline problems actually enforced the discipline. If you needed to stay after school, you stayed after school. If you needed to have a timeout into the library, you bring your books, you do your timeout in the library, and you learn, don't do that again. And if you have a second occurrence, your parents are going to have a boy howdy with the principal and possibly the administrator, and that student will be in the room, and it will not be pleasant. So what we have to do is make the line in the sand and say, this is the behaviors we will accept. These are the behaviors we will not. If you do not want to have the proper behaviors, we will do discipline. If it means after school, during school, we will remedy this. And if you're totally blowing us off and not taking any this discipline serious, we could actually move you into a different district, or there's other programs out there that deal with the students who have a hard time with discipline. It's totally uncalled for. We have to prepare them for our society once they graduate. They can't come out with bad behavior and expect to survive, because it's not pleasant. Thank you.
Okay, Cody.
I think discipline is a huge issue right now for our school district. I mean, I've talked to many teachers, parents, athletes, and it's a struggle for our district right now. There needs to be consistency when it comes to the discipline. I've heard of places where, some athletes got in trouble doing something, and, they broke code of conduct, and one, teacher individual didn't give them the reprimand that they should have gotten. They got an easier slack on the wrist than what they should have got. So, I mean, the discipline needs to be consistent here at the school district. But it is also my recollection that the district is working on a tier program to make sure everyone is on the same page and being consistent through all three buildings. So that will be key. Thank you.
Okay, Dave.
Yeah, the discipline problem is a serious problem, and not only in Nekoosa, but in all the districts in the state. When I've been at the WASB convention down in Milwaukee, talking with other people from different school districts, they're experiencing the same kinds of problems. It's a difficult situation. We can't slap the kids on the back of the hand anymore. We can't give them a spanking. Those are things that are verboten right now. But there are other methods that we can work with, and we have developed a program of discipline for our students, and it's consistent with everyone that's involved in the school. It's a very difficult situation to work with because we're kind of have our hands tied as far as what we can do and can't do. We're working on that problem and trying to get it straightened out as best we can. We have been making successes and progress with that as well in our district. It's getting better. We still have a discipline problem, though, like in any other district across the state. Thank you.
Any comments on open campus? I may come back to you too, Mr.
Sure.
Przybylski.
No problem. If they're a junior or senior in high school, I don't see any problem with open campus as long as, there's someone out there to supervise and, they stay on the grounds, or if they have like a place to check in or check out, a time frame to get back. I don't see an issue with open campus other than like the recent activity that, we all seen on the news with the school shootings and stuff. But, we do have a liaison officer at the high school. He could be present. I do know that he does go to the two other schools besides the high school. So, maybe it's just getting, an officer, if things do get out of hand or some sort. But I don't have an issue with, open campus if they're juniors or seniors, have good grades, their homework's turned in, stuff like that. So, thank you.
Okay, and back to Mr. Schmidt, if you have a comment.
We don't have open campus at our schools. One of the reasons is that for security. We recently were able to add some security measures to our schools. We have the doors locked at all times, and in order to get in after school hours start, you have to use a pass, press a button to be admitted by the office staff. It's very, very tight security, and we want to maintain that security so we don't have a situation like that happened in Florida there. Our kids have accepted that method of learning so that we're not having them get into trouble. They're able to come and go in the morning and in the evening, but during the day they need to stay in the school building. We do have one liaison officer, but he's spread between 3 buildings, so he can't be at every building at it all the time. And we have problems at all of our buildings, so we want to make sure that we don't have a situation that occurs with kids getting out too soon.
Okay, and Bob, did you have a comment about open campus? I really didn't follow up with you
That's
either.
all right. Open campus, for me, it's not a good choice. And if, depending on the communities you live in, you never know what the student's bringing back with them or what kind of thing they did outside of school that they're coming back with. Some schools will allow it and some don't. The schools that I've worked with overwhelmingly said no, because they didn't know if students were going out for a lunch, going out to have a party somewhere, because you can have a quick party and come back, or you could do something that the parents don't want you to do because mom and dad think you're at school. And I am not convinced that open campus is good. If you're going to college, fine, have an open campus. You're an adult, you can take care of yourself, and the trouble you get into is the trouble you get. If you're in high school, you get in trouble, and you're bringing that trouble back in the form of a half-drinking bottle of beer, or you've picked up something on the outside that should not be in the inside, you might not get caught, but then you've got it for the rest of the day. You could be going outside for a smoke, and who knows what you're smoking, then you're coming back. No, closed campus. Our society has changed to the degree that flexibility can't be there.
Okay, thank you for all of your follow-ups, too. Okay, Cody, we'll begin with you for this one. What are the problems facing the Nekoosa School Board, and what are your solutions
Sure.
for them?
Right now, when I think about problems, I think about, staff turnover and the decline of students, coming through the district. Last year when I was working as the health and wellness director, there was some talk about how we lost close to almost 100 students between last year and this year. So, how many people do you know that they say they're proud to be a graduate from Nekoosa? It falls on communication. There needs to be they need to communicate with each other on how we can put Nekoosa on the map to better our programs to bring, kids and families to the town of Nekoosa. When it comes to staff turnover, there's just no consistency for students. They're not able to get to know their teachers, and this is not always, about the pay for the teachers here. It's about the communication. Teachers want more time to prepare and work with students and don't want to run around in all these hoops and loops. It takes away time to prepare and to be able to help the students, which in a whole takes away time from the students. And, that could be stressful for the teachers and the students, which falls back on mental health, which has been an issue in the past for Nekoosa as well. So, right now I see the decline in student enrollment, staff turnover, and also the school lunch program. It's on the verge of changing, but if you change the lunch program and you don't get the students the right nutrients they need, they're not going to be thinking about the class out there, and they're thinking about, what they're hungry, what they're going to eat when they get home. So, we got to fix the school lunch program, staff turnover, and, the decline in students. So, thank you.
Thank you. Dave Schmidt?
Okay, the issues that are at hand, finances is always an issue. It's been an issue since I've been on the school board, and with declining enrollment, it gets worse every year. Declining enrollment is due to a lot of different things. People moving out of the area because there's no jobs for them. They've lost their jobs. Our communities here have lost lots of employment in recent years, and so when the employment isn't there, the parents leave and go find employment someplace else, and unfortunately, they take their kids with them. So we don't get the kids at our school any longer, and that means there's less money coming into our district to service the rest of the students that are there. The turnover of staff. My wife works as a substitute teacher in many school districts in the area, as far south as Adams, and here in Wisconsin Rapids with the parochial schools and in Port Edwards and Nekoosa as well. And she's seen that there's been turnover in the staff at all of these schools. It's not an uncommon thing right now. Act 10 allowed staff members to be able to seek out a better place to work if that's what they choose to, or go to another school district because their family is in that area if a job opens up for them. There's lots of different reasons why people leave a school district, not necessarily because they don't like the school district. And we've done a survey just recently on why people leave our district, and there's been just a number of different reasons for it. Act 10 was allowed them to do that because there's no more seniority any longer, so you don't have to worry about losing your seniority, your tenure, because you've gone from one district to another. So you can seek out a different opportunity someplace else, and that's been good for the staff. We have been able to fill vacant positions without too much difficulty for the most part, and those are some of the reasons that we have to work on right now. Thank you.
Okay. Bob Shear.
Can I have the question again?
Certainly. What are the problems facing the Nekoosa School Board, and what are your solutions for those problems?
Okay, some of the solutions and some of the problems I have seen and heard from others is we've got a discipline issue. We don't do it well, and the policies that are in the policy governance manual aren't followed. And I get that directly from teachers. I get that from parents. They don't follow them. So if you're going to have a policy on discipline, man up and do it. If you can't do it, change the policy or change the person running the joint. Then you also have issues with the policy itself. You have a school board that cannot talk to anybody in the school district. Otherwise, the school board member can be disciplined by the board for communicating below the district administrator, because school board can only talk to the district administrator. And if one board member has a question, the administrator, according to the policy, doesn't have to answer it, which means, You got to do an open records request as a school board member to find out what your answer is. That's preposterous. That's a lack of communication. You also have no collaboration. You get a canned curriculum. It comes pre-packaged, slapped on the desk and say, teach this. Well, if you have a teacher in a science class that's good with natural resource theories because they went to UWSP, wouldn't you want to tap that? Oh, you can't, because the canned curriculum won't let you. Get rid of that stuff and let's do some traditional classroom and educational team building. Let's collaborate and build a curriculum that teaches what we need to know, not this canned thing that came in from wherever. That's outdated. You also have to get the teachers involved in the communication. You have to ask them, so how's your students doing? Any problems with your students? And if you have a problem, help the teacher get the student the help they need. That's all there is to it. Communication. Get rid of the canned stuff and get rid of this policy governance thing. Thank you.
Okay, moving on to the next question, and Dave Schmidt, you will begin this one. The question is, what is your opinion on arming teachers?
That's a good question. There's been a lot of debate about that already in the past couple of weeks because of the Florida issue. I'm not sure that I really have a solution to that situation. I think if we armed our teachers, they'd have to have plenty of training before they were allowed to do that. I think it may prevent situations like what happened in Florida, but then on the other hand, will a teacher actually go ahead and do what he needs to do with a weapon if he has one in his possession or her possession? I'm kind of mixed on the thought about that. I really don't know a solid answer for that right now.
Okay, Bob Scheer.
I am so opposed to that. That is insane. Here's my perspective. I went through boot camp, Fort Sill, Oklahoma. M16A1 rifle. That sucker could peel off rounds. But you know what? Once you are out in the field and you have gunfire and you got people running, you're not sure what you're going to shoot at. Because out of nowhere, this person will come up with a weapon and shoot somebody, hopefully not me. So we had to go through the training, we had to go through the scenarios, and I would not put a teacher in that position. If a teacher takes a shot because they think they've got a child with a gun, and that child does not have a gun, they've got a stapler, you've just killed a child, and if that bullet continues on its path, who else is it going to hit? Where else is it going to land? That is totally insane. You do not put a weapon in a school and say, fix it. Now, if you want to lock the doors, that's great. If you want to have somebody walking through the halls just to make sure there's nothing funny going on in the halls, don't give them a gun. Give them a whistle. So if there's something going wrong, give them a whistle. He can blow the whistle and people can then lock the doors. That way there's nobody going out in the hallway. And this idea of we can't fix the gun problem is totally ludicrous. First thing we do, better background checks. If they got a mental health issue, they don't get the gun. That's all there is to it. It's not the First Amendment we're taking away. We're preserving the other constitutional guarantees of people, life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. So I reject having a firearm in a school by anybody, even a trained police officer, because you never know what's behind the target. Just like deer hunting. When you go out with a rifle, know what's behind your target. Thank you. Okay.
Cody Przybylski.
When it comes to this question, I think you have to think about, all the stuff a teacher does during the day. They're watching the students, they're grading tests, they're prepping for their next class, studying and reading material to make themselves a better professional in their career. Even though we're from a small town, we have police officers, and there are 3 schools, and we do have a liaison officer at, one of the 3 schools, 5 days a week. I think that if we could have, another officer at the high school, full-time and full-time at the middle school, something like that, to keep the school safe, that would be a good idea. But when it comes to teachers being armed, they have so much stuff they do during the day to prep and and be the best professional they can be to our students. So, and also I do know the school district, we have, we have codes, or if something happens, they lock the doors, they put paper over the windows, they make sure that the kids are safe as they can be until help arrives too. So, but in regards to teachers being armed, I don't think it's a good idea. So, thank you.
Okay, thank you to all of you for that question. Bob Shear, you will begin with the next one, and it is, this kind of follows on the footsteps of the last question. What have Nekoosa schools done to keep schools safe?
Well, they've gone ahead and they locked the doors, which is nice. They've put codes in there, so if something goes wrong, code red, code whatever, that's fine if the PA system's working. The thing that they did that I was totally opposed to, and I'm still opposed to this day, is in each classroom, there is no window that opens. They're all sealed shut. So you have a situation in the hallway. Kids can't evacuate out the hallway because there's something in the hallway. We had during the summer at 1 year, we had the entire floor drop out, so it was nothing but a gully because it was washed away. If that was a full classroom, the students couldn't get out because the windows are sealed shut. If there's a fire in the hallway or a shooter in the hallway, well, they can't get out the window. The window's sealed shut. So they say, well, break the window. With what? A plastic chair? And if you start banging on the window, break the glass, you're pushing a child through broken glass to stand on broken glass to get away. But you've tipped off whoever is intruding in your building, oh, this is where the people are at. So they've done some good stuff, but then they've done some really, what I consider, not appropriate stuff. And that should be fixed. They should have 1 or 2 windows in every classroom that can be open so you can use it as an emergency exit. We were able to get the classroom out of the basement after looking at fire code and consulting with a fire inspector, and I brought it up to his attention and said, hey, do you know that you can't put a classroom in the basement of an elementary building? Because it's against code. You can't put children under a certain age below ground in a classroom. It's against code. So they shut the classroom down, got the kids upstairs, and I think it's being used as storage. So we have to be careful of decisions we're making and what the ramifications are. Thank you.
Okay, Cody Przybylski.
I feel like our district is always mindful of emergency situations and have really moved forward in the last couple of years in this area. Like I said, we have the liaison officers at our school 5 days a week, and then, they have the codes to help our students if something does happen. So we also have, recently, after I graduated, when I came back to the district, I saw that now we have intercoms. When you get to the doors, all the doors are locked. You push the button, there's a camera, and then it shows who's at the door. And the office ladies, they're able to open the door, if they know the person or if they're, going missed class or going back to class. So I think those past couple years with that system, the intercom system, it's really made our school that much safer. So thank you.
Dave Schmidt.
Well, I agree with what Cody had just said, that we did implement just recently, within the past year, the security systems at the doors where you have the button that we have to push in order to be admitted into the building, and then the people at the front desk have to actually open the door for you, press a button to release the locks. So it doesn't allow anybody that wants to get in the building. Our liaison officer, his hours have been expanded as well. He used to be very much part-time in our school district, and now it's more full-time than part-time for our school liaison officer. So that helps in our security system as well. There isn't a whole lot of things that you can do to prevent somebody from coming in other than that. So that's pretty much what we've done right now. So thank you.
Okay, thank you for answering that question. And now for our last question of the evening, and we will start with Cody Przybylski. What are the strengths of the Nekoosa schools?
Right now I think of, 2 things when it comes to Nekoosa School District, that our Phi-Ed programs and our students and our teachers, they're all working together to partner with UWSP. It's a D3 college, and then they're also partnering with Midstate for transcripted courses. For example, students right now are really big into wellness, health, fitness, and marketing. So I think those teachers and the school that's partnering with Midstate to help get our students beyond the high school level is a great thing. And then also partnering with UWSP, you know, they're able to bring new aspects to help make our school more healthier and more wellness and more fit, which, I mean, if you're not healthy and fit, there's not much to go off from there. So as long as you're getting healthy and fit, and then we're educating their minds and their bodies, I mean, I think they're doing a great job with those two aspects right there to help build our district and to make our students become more than just, you know, high school students. They're going to broaden their careers and their futures. So thank you.
Okay, thank you. Dave Schmidt?
Some of the things that are strengths in the Nekoosa School District is kind of what I mentioned before, that we are working with our students to teach them in a way that they learn best. We've developed the Central Wisconsin STEM Academy for those that learn best by hands-on project-based education. We're working with our Ho-Chunk Nation to keep the nation alive in their culture. I visited with a number of people over in Black River Falls recently, where they told us all about how the nation was created and how it works, and we even got to listen to some of the Ho-Chunk language. We've been working with them to try to expand our horizons with the Ho-Chunk Nation as well. Our academy school, they were bouncing around to various locations over the past years, and we've recently, when in our remodeling project that we just finished, we were able to create a space in our high school for our Nekoosa Academy. Those are kids that, for one reason or another, just don't fit in the sit and get method, and they need a different kind of educational system. Our Nekoosa Academy has provided that educational system for them, with a teacher that works with them on hands-on projects. They get to go out to the community and work with the community. They have developed a program where they provide meals, backpacks for kids, to families that do not have the ability to feed their children during the weekend. So every Friday, several families, I think it's 20 or 25 backpacks, go out to various kids in our school district that the Nekoosa Academy puts together. They provide the food. They go out and get donations and solicitations for scholarships for different kinds of foods, and then they distribute that to the kids. So our our Nekoosa Academy is one of our great things that we've done for their school district.
Okay. Bob Shear.
Well, all the programs and initiatives they've mentioned have been going on for quite a while, and the thing that caught my attention was watching a school board meeting, and they were talking about, I believe it was MTSS, where we were talking about the mental health assessment or evaluation of students just by watching them, how they interact, how they communicate. And is there issues that the teacher can somehow surmise? I caught this during a meeting, so I don't have documentation. But basically, they're looking at the mental health and well-being of the student. And they have an outside organization, I believe, helping them with this. Because sometimes you need a set of eyes from the outside to say, okay, this is what we're seeing, what do you think it is? And then they can give us an idea of what's going on with that student. I've been in school districts where students do have problems at home. And they do have problems besides grabbing something to eat, but my dad's doing this to mom, and mom's doing this. It's like, okay, sit down, let's talk. And then while you're talking, you're just letting that person vent, and then you can say, okay, now let's take it to the next step. Where do we have to go next? And let's get some help for the child. If it's a past issue that the child cannot let go of, get them some mental health assessment or mental health support, so we can make it better for them mentally. Or if it's a continuing situation, then we say, okay, we got to go to Child Protective Services to help this child out, and will the district support it? That's the part we don't know. If there's something going on that's the teacher says, let's report this because it's one of our students, it's a minor, can we do it? I haven't heard of a school saying no, but I would say that's a discussion point that has to come out. How far can you go? Thank you.
Okay. We will be ready for our 2-minute closing statements. However, I was remiss at the beginning of this forum to say that there is a 4th candidate running with the 3 of you, and I meant to mention his name, which is Brian Mahan. He was not able to be here this evening, so I wanted to make sure that our audience, both viewing and in the room, realized that he is also a candidate for the Nekoosa school boards. So we are now ready for our 2-minute closing statements, and Dave Schmidt, you will be number 1 this time.
Okay. As I mentioned before, I'm running to help my grandchildren get the best education that we can possibly give them, and therefore getting the best education for all of the students in our school district as well. We've developed recently a program where we do virtual schools. So that's another method of teaching our children the way that they need to know, the things that they need to know, learn, and understand. Virtual program that we're working on is not new, but the project that we're working on recently is new, and in that we're going to be able to try to be able to teach children virtually, which means by computer at home or in the classroom if they choose to do it that way. But that wouldn't necessarily have to be only from our school district. It could be from any place in the state or across the country with our new virtual program that we're investigating. The thing that I'm running for is to help our students get a better education, and the work isn't done yet. And I'd like to be around to help finish up some of the projects that are currently underway. We've just recently implemented the policy governance that Bob referred to. Policy governance simply means that we run by policies, which is what, when I came on the board 9 years ago, they told us that what the school board's school board members' job is to develop policies and to see to it that they were taken care of and fulfilled. And the policy governance method is simply that. It helps us to make sure that those that are in charge underneath us will follow the policies that the school board puts in place. Thank you.
Okay. Bob Scheer, you're next.
Thank you. The reason I'm running again is things are different. Our society is different. The people we're serving is different. And I look back at what I've done in the past for myself. I do have a bachelor's degree in computer information systems. I do have an associate degree in data processing. I have seen a lot of the families in the back end of an ambulance. And I definitely was in the Wisconsin Army National Guard, so I know about firearm issues, because you do have to know them. And you also have to respect them and treat them fairly. You cannot misuse a weapon or leave it lay around and leave it unsecured. And that's what's going on in many instances in the shootings. Another thing I have issues with is when a school board is supposed to make the policies and make sure they're followed, and they instead give a brief guideline for a district administrator to say, oh, go ahead and make sure this happens, this happens, this happens, and then they make that person the chief executive officer, and he does whatever he wants, but there's no accountability to him. There's no way you can ask, how's it going down there? Because you might not get an answer, and you can't talk to the staff because the staff's afraid to talk to you because they're afraid of discipline. That's totally wrong. That's bad management. I had enough classwork in UW-Madison to know you don't open up communication channels by putting barriers in. So no, this policy management has to go. We have to go back, and then let's open a channel for the employees, whether they're teaching or support, to get their word back to the board, because you never know what's going on. And the contracting out of the food service program is just totally wrong. And I can go on forever on that one, but I got to stop. So thank you, Sue.
All right, we will move on then to Cody Przybylski.
All right. I've taken the time to get out in the community, listen to taxpayers, parents, students, staff, community, and we need to do a better job with communication and involvement. We also need to make sure we have the dollars, grants, and resources to help our students and school districts succeed in the future. Moving forward, that will be one of my top goals as a school board member. I want to be approachable and accountable to our taxpayers, staff, students, parents, and community. I'm running for school board to not only serve our district, but to be a role model as well. I shared my story in the beginning with you on how attending the school district gave me a chance at a future by being a student. Sadly, most of our enrollment come from an upbringing like mine. I want them and everyone else to know here that if you work hard at something, no matter your place or situation in life, that Nekoosa School District is a place to start your future, and I want to make sure I make Nekoosa that place. If you're willing to give me a vote, then I'm willing to give you everything I have for this district. Thank you.
Okay, and thank you to all of our candidates tonight for their time and thoughtful comments. And remember that Brian Mahan is also a candidate as well. This forum this evening will be rebroadcast on both the Solaris and the Charter public access channels, so check your guide if you would like to watch again or you would like to refer it to family or friends to watch it too. And thank you to our viewers for watching this forum, and the League of Women Voters definitely hope that the responses from the candidates tonight help you determine your vote on April 3rd. Thanks also to Mary Dom from the League of Women Voters and to Tom Lukes from River City's Community Access for the excellent arrangements for this forum this evening. For any information about registering to vote and voter identification, check out myvote.com or call your local municipal clerk. So we bid you all good night. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Paul Przybylski, City Clerk for the City of Wisconsin Rapids, and I wanted to give the voters of the city an update on the location of their polling places for the 2018 election. Voters in wards 1 through 10, 22, and 23 vote at the Centralia Center, which is located at 220 3rd Avenue South. Voters in wards 11 through 21 and 24 through 29 vote at Crossview Church, which is located at 1000 East Riverview Expressway, Suite 120. To locate your ward, contact the clerk's office at 715-421-8200 or visit www.myvote.wi.gov and click the Find My Polling Places tab.